You ever seen a team implode before the season even starts? Well, buckle up, because the Cleveland Browns just turned preseason into a full-blown soap opera. Forget playbooks, the NFL might as well start handing out subpoenas. It all began with what should have been a meaningless preseason game against the Rams. Just another scrimmage, right? Wrong. This was supposed to be the moment, the grand debut of Shedeur Sanders, the rookie QB with the famous name and an army of fans waiting to see if he could finally spark life into a Browns franchise that's been drowning in mediocrity for decades. But instead of fireworks, fans got crickets. No Shedeur. Barely a snap. The cameras caught him on the sidelines, helmet on, fully suited, but watching like the rest of us. That's when whispers turned into outrage. Something wasn't right. This wasn't just a coaching choice. This felt bigger, sabotage big. Meanwhile, the game itself? A train wreck. The Browns looked like they'd learned football 5 minutes before kickoff. And then there was Joe Flacco, yes, still hanging around throwing wobbly ducks while the offense sputtered like a busted Honda in a snowstorm. Fans went from puzzled to furious. Not only did the Browns look awful, but the one guy everyone tuned in to see never even touched the field. Because here's the thing the league and the entire internet couldn't ignore. The ratings didn't just dip, they collapsed. What was hyped as a 4.5 million viewer preseason showcase tanked into a miserable 200,000 by halftime. That's not just bad, that's catastrophic. Networks went into panic mode, executives were burning up phone lines, sponsors started sweating, and suddenly Shedeur's name was trending everywhere. Not because of what he did, but because of what he wasn't allowed to do. Then came the bombshell. Sources inside the building revealed that Stefanski benched Shedeur on purpose, directly going against ownership's orders to showcase him. Allegedly, receipts exist, emails, texts, internal arguments. Stefanski wanted the safe bet, the veteran. Ownership wanted to launch a new era. What they got instead was a public meltdown. And for once, this wasn't swept under the rug. The NFL itself launched an investigation not just into coaching decisions, but whispers of contract tampering, sabotage, even revenue manipulation. Think about it, the league office pulling practice tapes and reading text messages over a preseason game. That's not standard protocol. That's DEFCON 1. Meanwhile, inside the locker room, things are unraveling. Reports say players were frustrated, questioning the play calling and the QB rotation. Anonymous voices admitted the staff was split, half pushing for Shedeur to finally take the reins, the other half clinging to the hope that Joe Flacco's 2012 Super Bowl magic would somehow rise from the grave, 13 years and 3 teams later. Behind the scenes? Picture Game of Thrones for offensive coordinators. One faction sees Shedeur as too raw, too much brand and not enough quarterback. The other sees him as the future, the spark Cleveland desperately needs. Instead of hashing it out in meetings, it's all boiled into passive-aggressive sideline tension and conveniently leaked messages. And the fans? Oh, they noticed. The Browns subreddit basically turned into a digital riot. Twitter/X lit up like wildfire with fans ripping Stefanski apart. Memes had him photoshopped as a Bond villain, a saboteur, even the Joker. Fake trade rumors popped up just to keep the chaos burning. But then things got real. When sponsors start hesitating, ad revenue dips, and networks hold emergency calls to figure out what the hell is happening, it's no longer just football, it's business. Executives allegedly told league officials Stefanski's choice wasn't only bad coaching, it was bad for the NFL's bottom line. The Browns don't just need wins, they need to prove they're united, functional, and not starring in their own courtroom drama. And here's the wild part, this fiasco could set a brand new precedent, the NFL stepping in not for rule violations, but because a team's dysfunction is tanking revenue. That's a brand new level of chaos. We're talking possible fines, lost draft picks, for staff shakeups, and maybe even a league-appointed babysitter to keep the Browns in line. Think NFL meets HR department. If that doesn't scream disaster, I don't know what does. And where does that leave Kevin Stefanski? On very thin ice. Sure, some defenders will argue he was protecting Shedeur, not sabotaging him. That tossing a rookie into the fire too soon against NFL defenses can wreck a career before it even starts. That Shedeur needs time, growth, patience. Fair enough. But when your entire franchise is built around one player and you refuse to showcase him in a nationally televised game? That's not strategy. That's self-sabotage, or worse, politics disguised as coaching. The Browns are now a cautionary tale, a team that finally had a spark, a star, a fresh start, and immediately found a way to torch it in front of millions. Shedeur didn't need to throw a single interception, his own coaching staff tanked his stock for him. So now we wait for week 1, for investigation results, for the next anonymous leak to hit Twitter, and for anyone to take control of this flaming clown car before it careens off a cliff. Because the NFL isn't just watching, they're keeping score. And right now, the Browns are already losing. If nothing else, at least hand Kevin Stefanski this week's Gaslighter of the Gridiron Award for turning a preseason opportunity into a league-wide scandal. Will the Browns turn it around? Will Shedeur finally get his shot? Or will this all end with an emergency press conference and a conveniently timed resignation? Sound off in the comments, who do you blame for this mess? And don't forget to subscribe for more celebrity-style meltdowns from the world of sports, fame, and chaos. Because in the NFL, drama isn't a bug, it's a feature. Oh, you thought it was over? Not even close. Once the league brings in subpoenas and digital forensics, it never stops at one scandal. It spirals. And what started as a sideline snub has cracked open a Pandora's box of dysfunction inside the Cleveland Browns organization. Let's talk about the real drama, the internal politics. What's happening in Berea isn't just a quarterback controversy, it's a full-on power struggle. Ownership, coaching, scouting, PR. All pulling in different directions like 4 kids in a trench coat trying to drive a tank. No one's on the same page, and the result? Pure chaos, disguised as football strategy. Insiders say Stefanski has been butting heads with the front office for months over the QB situation. Even before Shedeur was drafted, whispers were flying that Stefanski wasn't on board. He wanted a pro-ready QB, someone easier to mold, basically, someone he could control. But ownership? They saw dollar signs. They saw hype. They saw a chance to finally build a brand that didn't revolve around losing records and yearly heartbreak. So when they went all in on Shedeur Sanders, the message was clear, he's the guy. Not in 5 years. Now. He's the new face of the franchise, the highlight reel, the jersey seller, the media magnet, maybe even the savior to drag this cursed team back into relevance. But Stefanski? He wasn't convinced. And after that Rams game fallout, people are starting to wonder if he's been slow-playing Shedeur on purpose. Giving him just enough reps to look involved, but not enough to actually lead. Keeping him close enough to appease ownership, but far enough away to quietly tank his chances without making it obvious. Classic corporate sabotage, NFL edition. And here's where it gets dangerous. The NFL investigation isn't just checking game film or practice logs. They're digging into emails, Slack messages, text chains between assistants, all of it. The league wants to know if there was a deliberate effort to hold Shedeur back. Because if there was, that's not just bad optics. That's a violation of league conduct. Meanwhile, the locker room is one awkward meeting away from open mutiny. Veterans are split, some clinging to Stefanski out of loyalty, others fuming at the blatant mishandling. One source even claimed that after the Rams game, multiple offensive players cornered a position coach, demanding answers for why Shedeur wasn't given a single real drive. These are grown men risking injury every snap, and when they smell dysfunction at the top, morale sinks like a stone. And don't even get started on the fans. Cleveland has lived through decades of heartbreak, but this feels personal. Intentional. Like sabotage. You can almost hear Ohio's collective scream, "We finally get a promising young QB, and you ruin it too?" It's insult piled on injury, over and over again. The Browns subreddit is basically a digital protest camp right now. Fans decoding snap counts like CIA files, calling for boycotts, demanding accountability. Cleveland's seen pain before, but this chaos feels different. This time, it's not just losing. It's betrayal. Memes are everywhere, Stefanski in a hoodie labeled QB hater-in-chief. One guy even launched a fake Kickstarter to buy the Browns and fire everyone, and people actually donated. The noise isn't fading, it's snowballing, especially with the NFL confirming they're still actively digging into the evidence. This isn't some PR distraction. It's a real investigation. And every day without answers makes the Browns look even worse. Every incomplete pass Shedeur throws will become ammo for Stefanski loyalists, see? Told you so. If Shedeur lights it up, Stefanski's gone by Thanksgiving. If he struggles, ownership looks reckless. If the Browns get blown out, the locker room explodes like an overripe avocado. And if they somehow pull off a win? Congrats, you've just delayed the implosion until week 2. There is no good ending here, just different flavors of bad. And that's what makes this so perfectly Browns. Only this franchise could take a rookie debut and turn it into an NFL-level scandal, sabotage, collapsing revenue, and the very real chance of the league stepping in on coaching decisions. This isn't just chaos. It's an identity crisis playing out live on national television, under legal scrutiny, with a fan base one bad throw away from snapping. So where do they go from here? The Browns have to choose a direction. And they have to do it fast. They can't keep pretending this circus is normal. They can't throw Shedeur out there cold and act like they didn't botch his development. And they sure as hell can't bench him again without sparking a full-on revolt, not just from fans, but maybe even their own investors. The locker room is demanding answers. Because whether they like it or not, Shedeur Sanders is the story now. Every snap, every throw, every time he doesn't take the field, it all gets dissected. The Browns wanted relevance. Well, congrats, they got it. And for delivering more drama in one exhibition game than most franchises do in an entire season, let's award them the prestigious preseason drama MVP. Oh, you're still here? Good. Because the Browns saga isn't close to finished. If you thought the Stefanski Shedeur disaster peaked with that preseason implosion, buckle up, the roller coaster is still climbing, and the bolts are starting to rattle. At this point, the real question isn't who starts under center. It's whether this franchise can survive yet another internal collapse without becoming the textbook case in every how not to run a team lecture for the next decade. And now, let's zoom in on Kevin Stefanski. While Shedeur has somehow become the symbol of both hope and controversy, it's Stefanski who's unraveling behind the curtain. Sources unofficial, but far too consistent to ignore, say the coach has gone full lockdown. Meetings sealed. Every incomplete pass? The groans echo through the stadium like thunder. Every touchdown? A half-hearted clap followed by a collective mutter of, cool, but where's Shedeur? And Shedeur? Man's been nothing but professional. No Twitter meltdowns. No shady subtweets. No passive-aggressive interviews. Just helmet on, ice forward, nodding on the sidelines like a knight forced to watch a war he was trained to fight. His reps are calling. Sponsors are watching. Other rookies around the league are texting him, bro, what's going on over there? This isn't about playing time anymore. It's about respect. It's about reputation. It's about being drafted as the supposed centerpiece of a rebuild, only to be parked on the sideline like an unused prop. Careers aren't supposed to begin this way, they're supposed to launch, not stall. And with the weight of legacy on his back, the pressure's doubled. When your dad is Deion Sanders, when your very name carries expectation, you don't just quietly sit on the bench while your franchise burns. Every game Shedeur doesn't play? That's a headline. Every pass he doesn't make becomes a storyline fans create in their own heads, convinced it has to be better than the reality on the field. And that's the kicker in today's fever dream of a saga. When you build a franchise on pure potential, don't act shocked when that potential morphs into crushing pressure. Ignore that pressure long enough, and it won't just fade, it'll crack the whole foundation.